Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Matriarchal Voices by the Matriarchal Times. We have a very special guest with us here today. She is from India and she's a university student. So we have Safa Hussain. She's very passionate about waking women up to their power, and she's doing a lot of work in this area. If you go to her social media, you can see that she's very active there, and she has strong opinions. And we are very lucky to have her here with us today. So, yes, Safa, hi, you can
Hi.
introduce us.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here. This is probably the first time I'm doing an interview thing, like something like that. And I'm kind of nervous, but also very excited because, like, being with like minded people, I just enjoy, I enjoy stuff like that.
Cool. So what got you into like being a very strong voice in women's matters? What prompted it? What brought you into this at such an early age?
Honestly, this question, this is something that I asked myself as well. Because ever since I was very, very young, like honestly, 6, 7, 8 years old, I have always been this way. Like it has been so natural to me. I like ever since I was a child, if an adult would do something which would seem misogynistic, that would actually bother me. I wouldn't understand why exactly it's bothering him, but it would. Because when I was in I think I was 7, 8 years old, my teacher said that my skirt was too short, and I'm like a child, and my mom is arguing with the teacher, and I'm like, are adults okay? And then it actually started when I turned 12. I discovered feminism because I always had it in me that I don't agree with the things that I see on TV, a naked woman dancing in front of fully clothed men. So it was very intrinsic to me. I just had to discover it in the material world, is what I feel like. So I'll say I was born this way, to be honest. Nothing really
Okay,
changed me, but I was born this way.
that's interesting to hear. So, like living in India, how do you think that these problems like present you with the culture and everything around? There must be some specific ideas that you have about Indian culture,
Okay,
especially.
when it comes to India, first off, I love being an Indian. I love my country, but this is just my opinion as an Indian. I genuinely feel like India is a very law and orderless country. Literally anything is happening, and every single community is a minority. I mean, it's hard to explain, but let's talk in the sense of like womanity and womanhood, right? India, I believe that it has some problems to it which no other country has. For example, when it comes to dowry system, right? In this system, first off, you are stigmatizing the existence of a single woman. If she's 21 and single, holy shit, that's such a problem. And then you are, in order for her to get married, she has to pay huge sum of money, which something that her family has never even earned their own life. You have to pay that much money to a man, and you have to pay for the entire wedding. And that's not it. Even after the marriage, the girl keeps getting tortured. We had so many dowry deaths. Women would be burnt alive, and we had to run ads on TV on how to protect if you ever come across a burning woman. So this is one thing that when I tell my international Muslim friends from Saudi, from other countries, they like, the guys are just so shocked, like, what? The woman has to pay for the wedding, the woman has to pay dowry. And it's not only, it's like, this is one of the things that I hate the most. Dowry system, I hate it the most. But there are, like, when it comes to your religion, your caste, it is much worse. It is much worse. A Dalit woman will go through things that I as an upper caste woman cannot even imagine, and maybe don't even know of. So religion, not only Hinduism but every single religion, has really radically been practiced misogyny. If it has not practiced other stuff, it has radically practiced misogyny, and that has become a part of India even till today, even though India is secular.
Okay. Um, so I'm not sure that I misunderstood you. What do you mean by women burning? Like literally burning on fire?
Yeah. The in-laws would set the woman on fire, and my mom personally knows women. My grandmother personally knows women who have been set on fire. My mom and her friend are the same age. The friend is a burn victim. She has burn scars on her face, and she's a single mother. And she was a victim of this. She was burnt alive, tried to burn alive for dowry. So you can imagine how bad it was, and it's not something that happened in the past, right? It's something that still happens, very prevalent.
Okay, so like you have rules and regulations, like if you see someone burning, you have to just leave them alone. Is that what you meant? Like if you see someone on the side, I don't know whether I heard you wrong. Like,
No, no. What I meant was that we had ads on TV which were basically giving tutorials to people like how you can protect a burning bride,
okay,
how you help
okay.
a burning person, and they literally took the
Mhm.
example of dowry because the cases were so high, and they still are so high even though dowry is illegal.
Okay, okay, so now it's illegal. Okay. Um, so when it comes to these dowry systems, is it like only when it's an arranged marriage, or is it um something that happened anyway?
Okay, so from what I know, like from the memes and the things that people say, it is said that in a love marriage, you are not like there's no dowry in it. But coming from a Punjabi family, it's like if the woman is not paying dowry, it's like my status is like low. You know, it's like a ego thing now. Now they don't call it dowry though; they call it gifts. So it's
Okay.
like it's legal, right? It's gifts, even though I'm against those gifts as well. I feel like the guy should pay the woman. She's leaving everything to come to your house in a country where marital rape is legal in India, and in that
Okay.
country, if a woman is marrying you, honey, you should worship her. Is what I believe.
Okay, so now that you mentioned rape, so we have heard like people saying that Delhi is the rape capital. So how accurate is this?
Okay, so I was born in Delhi and I currently still live there. And honestly, I did not realize how bad Delhi has it until I made friends from different states of this country, and especially women who used to live in Delhi and then they moved away. Like I have a friend, we are very close. She lived in Delhi for like 30, I don't know, 20-30 years of her life, and then she moved to Mumbai. She tells me Delhi is horrific compared to Mumbai. She tells me
Mhm.
that every single, like she's very matriarchal, like she's just like me, and honestly she's worse than me. She used to tell me she used to beat up guys in Delhi almost every single day, almost every single time she went out, because they're just doing something or the other. And I agree with that. Every single time I go out, every single time I have a story that this guy did this, he did that. Even if I'm with my family, even if I'm with my parents, something happens. And I honestly thought that this is something that, maybe happens all over the country, but it is something that happens especially in Delhi a lot. Like, I don't know what's wrong with the guys, but they are just so disrespectful. Like, they treat you like a public property. Even in other parts of the country, North Indians are a kind of have a bad name that these men are just very, they don't behave good with women, right? So my friend told me that in Mumbai, she goes out at night at 11 p.m, at 12 p.m, she smokes, and it's like safe, it's safe, it's much safer. Like, of course there is stuff there, but it's much safer than Delhi. And she is like, I'm never coming back to Delhi. And I'm like, I am living in hell, I did not even realize that.
Okay, so it's like basically, do you think there's a lack of awareness that's keeping these problems alive in India mostly? Since
um,
even you, with all your knowledge and all your like explorations and activisms and everything, if you didn't realize how bad it is around you, do you think that there are some women around who basically don't know what's happening to them and that's why they don't fight back?
One thing I will definitely say is that it is more like a subconscious programming, because in India we have a culture called item songs, right? In it, it's like there has to be one mandatory song where a woman is half naked, dancing, objectifying herself, and the lyrics are just so misogynistic. So I feel like this is something which does the subconscious programming in the minds of women that, oh, I am created to as inferior to a male. I am created as someone who is born to serve a male, or just an entertainment piece for male. First comes Bollywood. It is the biggest problem. Um, and then we have religion, right? No matter which religion it is, I feel like all religions say that teach the same BS. So even my mom, she has told me that when she was a child, she was told how to be a good wife to a husband, and she was told so many messed up things. So it's like the subconscious programming which starts even before you are born. And what I mean by that is that if a woman is expecting a child or they are trying to have a baby, they will say something like अरे शुभ शुभ बोलो लड़की नहीं होगी, which means like be positive, it won't be a girl. Like even the thought of having a
Oh
girl
my God.
is
Okay.
so scary to people. Like they are okay with having a boy, but the thought, even the thought is not, is rejected. We don't want a girl. So it is such a deep subconscious programming that even till today I see women who are having six daughters, seven daughters, just so they can end up having a boy, or aborting the shit out of children so they can have a boy. I know women and they're like working women. That's like my neighbor right now. So
Okay.
it's a subconscious programming, which I'll say it's a subconscious programming which starts since you're a child.
Okay. That's really disturbing, actually. I mean, if there were no women in the world, like, where are the rest of the human race going to come from? Haven't they realized that yet? So anyway, just wanted to ask you something a bit sensitive. Like, is pedophilia something that happens over there when it comes to underage marriages or anything like that? Still,
Okay, so pedophilia is definitely a very sensitive topic, and I'll be honest. I'll first talk from my personal experience, and then we'll talk about others. Right? But I got the most harassed in my life before turning 13, 14, like 12, 13. Right? Before even becoming a teenager, I was the most publicly touched person. Like I felt like a public property. I used to hate going out. I used to hate when I saw a man, even before I became a teenager, because pedophilia is so common. We do not realize that we have had, like, maybe it's not that relevant right now, but unfortunately it is actually. Okay, so I'll share something which my friend told me, who is also a huge feminist, is that in some part of India, I'm not going to say which one because of some reason, there is still a culture where the mother's brother is supposed to have sexual relations with the mother's daughter when she is very young, and it is like very very common. It is very common in that part. And these child, I'm getting a little overwhelmed, I'm so sorry, because this is a very sensitive topic, but child marriages, and it is like so common. Like, every single family has that one or two creepy uncle that they know is a baby toucher, and they are okay with it. They don't take it seriously. Do you realize that? Because I'm sorry, I've been a victim of this, so it's very hard to talk about it, but it is so common. It is very common. And these people are, there are more pedophiles than like normal rapists or something. It is very common.
I'm so sorry for what you went through, and I hope that you have gotten into a safer situation now, at least.
Yeah, I am.
Okay. So, like you were saying, it's become a cultural thing. It's become an accepted thing in your society, like repressing women, treating them differently, and you know, people turn the other way when things are happening to women. So, in with all this, with so many issues, what do you think? Where do you think that India can even start to unravel these problems and kind of start fixing them or solving them?
So I believe that any society, any community is not supposed to have so many men. In India and China, we have aborted so many baby girls that we have 70 million extra men than women, which is terrifying because we are not supposed to have these many men. We don't need them. It's going to sound disturbing, but I personally believe that the male population needs to go down. It definitely needs to go down because too many men, too many damn men,
Time to
and
start exporting them.
definitely. And also, like, religion has been a huge problem. I have always hated religion, always hated it. The fear that religion will tell you that if you do not obey this, you do not do that, then you're going to hell or something bad will happen. In Hinduism, like Shani Dev will do this and all that. I feel like that. I feel like um, this needs to go. We need to bring spirituality. We need to divinify the female, because that's what a female is. A female body is so interesting. She can create life from her own body. She is smarter biologically. Her brain is she has more brain cells than a man. Her prefrontal cortex is much more developed than a man. She is meant to lead. But what are we doing in India? We are teaching women that your only job is to be pretty, is to be the best sex object a man has ever seen, to obey your husband, to obey your in-laws, to be a baby machine. And women are falling for this, unfortunately. Women are falling for this. India, misogyny is not the only problem that India, when it comes to India exclusively, is facing. There's caste issues as well, which is terrifying, which is terrifying. Religious problems, which are terrifying. Corruption. But again, all of this boils down to patriarchy, right? The
Yeah.
male supremacy, the male tendency to hoard wealth,
Superiority. Yeah.
male tendency to hoard wealth, to create a hierarchy, to seek dominance, is where all this comes from. So I think that firstly, if I ever got into power, the first thing I would do is I would start making, I would start like change the way women are portrayed in media. Because I personally believe that it is not school which is educating the children, it is the media which is educating the children, which is creating the biggest influence. Little kids, I have been at this age recently, I was intimidated on a harassed on the road by four teenage boys. We can see how they feel about women, right? And then separating the needs of both men and women. Men and women have different needs. I believe that right now in the current generation or current population of the country, I feel like anti women sentiments are very intrinsic to people. Even women are very very anti women, right? They're extremely misogynistic. Of course the males are going to be misogynistic as well. I feel like the radical feminist movement, even in India, it is not that popular. Like you would expect that women to be much more radical, but like that's the thing. The reason why India is so utterly garbage for women is because there is anti women sentiments even among women, right? So for personally, I believe that first of this nuclear family system which is created, which is created to isolate women, because men need women and women need each other. So if women are not coming together in a community to share each other's problems, to solve issues and talk to each other, basically be for each other, then I feel like that is a huge problem. Because you are being caged up in a home, in a box, with your biggest predator, which is a male, right? So I feel like the nuclear family system is definitely that I'm really against. Secondly, the portrayal of women in media. The fact that even the most powerful women are okay with doing these item songs, where which is like so talked about that it is very misogynistic, it is very objectifying of the female body. Even these strong powerful women are okay with still doing this. So like, first off, I think that should be banned. But like, why is that sentiment within them that they want to do these things? Why? So I think we must address the root cause, which is like the subconscious programming ever since they are a kid. That's why people tend to not see any problem with that, because subconsciously we all are trained to see women as objects, right? So I think it starts within, from your childhood.
So what I wanted to ask you is like there's so much in the Western culture that tells women like you're empowered if you do certain things. You're empowered if you just like this. It's empowering to be yourself and to kind of flaunt yourself. So what is your idea of this? What do you think? Is it empowering or is it embarrassing? Is it humiliating? Like where has it all gone wrong? Like what do you think in your personal opinion? It doesn't have to be like very complex or anything, like just what do you think? I'm sure you've thought about it.
Okay, firstly, I'm like a very spiritual person, right? So
Mm,
I personally came to the conclusion that because in certain parts of the world, there are women who are forced to cover up from head to toe,
mm,
right? They're forced to dress modestly. So I feel like in order to create a balance, Mother Nature just created in another country, they created these type of women or this type of a culture where women just want to flaunt everything. They want to objectify them. So in order to create a balance, maybe this happened, is what I believe spiritually. But I feel like the fact that if a woman is covering from head to toe because of a religion, and if a woman is like in female rap, if a woman is just showing everything in the most obscene vulgar ways, I think it's like the two different sides of the same coin. right? Neither of them is empowering, in my opinion. It is not empowering to cover yourself from head to toe, because the religion tells you that do it because you're a sex object, or you will turn a man on sexually and then you'll be responsible for rape. But at the same time, women just consensually objectifying themselves, I think that's just not empowering. That's not empowerment. And there's more
Do
to
you
a woman than just her body. I think even a woman should realize that.
do you feel like people are not taking women seriously because of this mainly? Because that's something that I feel, that people don't see us as someone that they need to listen to because of this culture that we have.
Okay, so you know what? I am gonna have to disagree over there, because, like, if you look at men, they are the leading cause of a rape pandemic. They are the reason why femicide exists, but everyone takes them seriously, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's about asserting your power, asserting your dominance. Of course, the fact that in an already misogynistic society, if you as a woman are choosing to be more misogynistic, of course, not men, neither men or women are going to respect you. And I feel like even you don't respect, like, even if you are doing that, even you don't respect yourself. If in a society which is like created to be against you, you are giving them more, you are like just perpetuating the same things, and I think you just don't respect yourself, and you are not going to be heard. Because in order to be respected, you have to respect yourself. And of course, your clothes don't determine how much you respect yourself, but if you are clearly objectifying yourself and the female body, for example in female rap, then I'm sorry, that is straight up misogynistic.
Okay, so again, coming back to India. So Hinduism is a prominent religion there, and inside Hinduism, you have a whole goddess worship sect. Like it's a main thing there, goddess worship. So having female goddesses, like worshipping them as God, basically. Why do you think that still people don't respect women with this religious background also supporting the respect and worship of women?
Yeah. Okay, so first off, I want to say I'm irreligious, extremely irreligious. I'm a spiritual person, so I'm not pro or against any religion. And initially, it is believed that what we call today as Hinduism was just a lifestyle of India. And it was a very matriarchal society that even most Hindus will not admit, will never admit. I have had conversation with Hindus who want to establish a Hindu state, but even they are patriarchal, because if you read the article called Law, Emasculation and Sexual Violence by Pratiksha Bakshi, she clearly states that when Britishers came to India, they were shocked to see that women were grabbing men by their balls if they misbehaved, publicly humiliating them if they did something which was unacceptable, right? And that was a culture of India that used to happen, which tells us that India was a matriarchy. India was it was called a sone ki chidiya, which is like a golden bird. It had so much money, so much abundance, and it because it was a matriarchy. So, side note: if a country treats its women well, it's going to progress, because a country can only do as well as its women. Like, it can only progress as well as much as women have, right? So it is believed that after these Abrahamic religions came, especially Britishers came, they started labeling these women as savages, right? Like, they basically stigmatized women who are dictating or like being powerful over men, or are protecting themselves, right?
Okay, so they brought in the patriarchy.
Yeah, yeah. Islam and Christianity, it is said that. And I'm not a Hindu supremacist, as someone will accuse me of being. I do acknowledge that the Hinduism we see today is nothing more than patriarchy. I am irreligious. It's nothing more than patriarchy. It is nothing more than Islamified or Abrahamic religionified Hinduism we see today. It is not real. It is not the natural order. It is not what Sanatan Dharma was about. Sanatan Dharma is the original name of Hinduism. So, and the goddess worshipping, it is just something which stayed along, like it stayed along with us, because we have all these books teaching women how to be good wives. We have Pati Dev, which means like your husband is a kind of a god, like a demigod. So you have to worship him, you have to wash his feet and then drink the water. And basically, we were taught male worship, dick worshipping, male worshipping. We were taught that. But these female goddesses, they just stayed along. They just, and okay, one more thing. The female goddesses, they were shown as they are powerful because they are so obedient to their husbands. That's the thing.
Mhm.
They are
Okay.
shown as like, oh, this goddess is so obedient to her husband. So that's what makes her a goddess. Then again, we have a Bharatiya Nari, which translates to an Indian woman. So this Bharatiya Nari is a woman who is self-sacrificing. She never keeps herself first. She will sacrifice herself for her children and her husband. So this was glorified. And initially when I was young, I was like, oh my god, this country is worshipping Bharatiya Nari. She is idolizing Bharatiya Nari. And until I realized what Bharatiya Nari is about, it is a woman who gives away her everything, her freedom, her time, her energy to her children and her husband, right? So this so yeah, that's what I'll say about that. Even though we have goddesses, well, what are the goddesses doing? The goddesses are worshipping their husbands.
Okay, so not really good role models in the end.
Well, we do have some goddesses which kill men, but again, they come up with some BS like, oh, you are not her. Like, okay, so like they will tell me that I'm a goddess, so I must behave like a goddess, right? A goddess is kind, she covers herself, but then there is Kali Ma who is fully naked, she's killing men, good and bad, both men. And then I say, well, why can I not be Kali? And then people told me, well, you're not Kali, you're not a goddess, you're just a human. And I'm like, so like 2 minutes ago I was a goddess, and now I'm a human. Okay, cool. Like you just want to
It's
control me.
no, it's just according to convenience. Don't
Yeah,
worry about
exactly.
it.
Exactly.
So in India also, do you have any like men rights activism movements, and what's that about?
Oh my god. Look, like as someone who, like, this country is internationally humiliated for so many things. One of them being that we gave the world the news that four men, they unalive, like killed and raped a monitor lizard and ate it later. We
Okay.
are the country which gave the world this news. And every 16 minutes a rape is reported, just reported. So many rapes go unreported because I have never reported anything that has happened with me. I have never reported eve teasing. I have never reported if my professor was a pervert. Every 16 minutes a rape is reported. In India, marital rape is legal. It is legal to rape your wife. In India, they have been like, dowry is illegal, but it is still active. It is still happening. They call it gifts. And oh, and plus, like, oh, for 200 years we have been a patriarchy. Women did not have the rights to study. Lower caste people did not have the right to study. Lower caste women were just like caste and your sex just coming together and even crushing them even further. Over that, you still need men's rights activism, that there are still some rights that you don't have, like 200 years of this violent patriarchy, and you still were not able to create a system which fully benefits you. Then maybe you are just naturally incompetent, because you still need men's rights activists. And yes, there are a lot of men's rights organization in India. I don't know what rights they want. Hopefully they get it, hopefully they don't, I don't know.
So no women's rights movements, or are they there? Are they small, or how is that? How is the fight going, basically?
Actually, the fight is very clear, like very expected stuff. Very expected stuff. Like the government will just say the most expected stuff, like, okay, we will do this for women, we will do that for women, or we should respect women. But again, that same politician has like 18 rape cases going on them. It is very like very performative when it comes to
Okay.
politicians. There are a lot of feminist organizations, for example, Feminism in India. Well, they have had some controversy because of religion and caste, but there are a lot of feminist organizations which actively help women. Personally, I used to work at a skill like a training center for women. We used to teach like underprivileged poor women for free, and it was such a beautiful experience. Like they would come in being very underconfident, like like they're like, I took my husband's permission, my family is like, they're luckily letting me come. And then a year later they are so well trained, they are running their own center, and they have such a beautiful personality, they are such a boss women. So yeah, there are organizations, but they're not enough, I'll say, because they're not really directly addressing the issue,
Hmm.
right?
Okay, so what are you hoping to do in future? Like once you leave university, are you going to become like full time into this, or are you going to go into politics, trying to make a change? Like, what are your plans?
Okay, so when it comes to like what I want to do, I want to do so many things. But also what can I do,
Yeah.
right? What will work out, what will not work out? Because I had plans and those plans didn't work out, right? So I'm a natural humanitarian. As I told you, this was something that came to me naturally since I was a kid, right? I'm a natural humanitarian. Of course, I want to do something for the humanity, especially. So for that, I'm going to need money. I'm going to need power. I'm going to need fame. So currently I'm just working my online presence, right? The things that I
Hmm.
post online, it is basically just me trying to get that like support of women to understand it better. But honestly, for now I'm more focused on making money. Eventually, yes, I want to do a lot for humanity, I want to wake women up, but for now the most I can do, unfortunately, it is just make videos online. So currently I'm just focused on online activism, but eventually I do want to turn it into like full-time work, but I'm gonna need to work hard for it.
Okay, if anybody out there wants to check out Safa's content, she's on Instagram. We'll put the links in the description so you can follow her and keep up to date with her work and everything. So, Safa, is there anything else you would like to say before we sign off from our audience today? Is there any message that
Yes.
you want to give? Yeah.
Yeah, firstly, I want to talk to you, like matriarchy times. I want to talk to you that when I first came across your reel on Instagram, when I saw the word matriarchy, I was like, okay, the time has finally come when women have woken up to the extent that they are actively asking for a matriarchy. Not asking, they're like creating a matriarchy.
Mhm.
Because ever since I was a kid, I was like, no, men are not meant to rule. Men should not be ruling. Women should be given the power. Women should be given the dominion over the planet. And back then, when I used to say these things, like I would get attacked by other women, right? So I'm so happy to see that women are working towards it. And even if not working, like they have this feeling that we want a matriarchy, we want women to rule. And for the people watching, especially the women watching, I want to say, address your subconscious programming, that subconsciously you might think that you are created below a man, subconsciously you might believe that you are just a sex object. But let me tell you one thing, naturally you have so much power within you. Biologically you are, I know they tell you you're just a baby machine, you are dumb, but that is not true. You are so, you are so, I don't want to say that word, but you are very, very superior. Like you are a very superior being. You are a divine being. You are meant to rule. So don't fall for these trad wife BS like, oh, I'm meant to serve a man. Don't fall for that. Build yourself, create yourself, and serve humanity, is what I'll say to them.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for joining us today. It was so nice talking to you. And
Thank you.
hopefully, we can help you achieve one of your goals of becoming famous. And
Definitely. Thank you
okay.
so much.
Okay, until next time, everyone. Thank you for joining and listening. And please tune in for our next episode.